Hey guys, it's Fidget here. Just wanted to go over the Nasdaq side by side with the ES here, point out some levels, and then see what we could potentially do in this range. So the first zones I'm looking at would be like 11,689, just because that's what we had a 4-hour close over. And the candle, we're moving in right now, obviously hasn't closed, so I can't say anything on that. But looking at this range, we're potentially still in this downtrend because we made that low and we have yet to make a higher high. We'd have to push past 13,000 now. I'm not saying it's impossible, but so far we're following that downtrend, and maybe we'll potentially follow that downtrend once again once we test 13,000. But there's a few levels in between that we can focus on, so I'll get to those. So yeah, the first one, 11,689, just because that's the old bottom of the range. I'd look at it like more of a zone. Maybe if you're looking here, I'd either watch this zone or the actual legitimate low that was posted yesterday or today. Um, and kind of play off of that level or that zone down here. A key thing to note would be you always have to be careful buying down here, especially because we have potential to come back down to these lows and potentially even lower. The reason being is because in our structure you can see that we're in a downtrend. It's pretty clear. And then another thing is even if we do come back down, and buyers step in, it would take a move decently low to make a double bottom here, if that's what we wanted to do. So there's both of those scenarios, could bring us back down, bullish or bearish. Um, but nonetheless, yeah, keep an eye on this zone here where we had consolidation, then broke out above, and now we're back into that old range. So above that, I'd look at the levels 11,950. The reason being is because this is our old breakout zone. From 519 or 518, 519, 523, 524, and 525. And then we broke out in 526 and made that run. This zone had a decent amount of price action compared to anywhere else other than this box right here. This was a decent zone where we had a lot of consolidation and a decent amount of volume moving through there the whole time. So I'd watch that 11,952, potentially for a rejection. So I'm not saying we'll get one here, but if we do get a rejection off that 11,950 or 12,000 level, that's why I'd go ahead and take a short, potentially targeting back down to 11,689, and then after that through this zone towards new lows if we continue this downtrend. And that would be at this zone. I'm going to remove that. And then if we do break over 11,950, then I would watch to see if we can test and hold over this 12,200 zone. The reason being is because you have so much resistance overhead right here. It may be smarter to wait it out instead of trying to go long here with potential resistance at 12,300. But if we can close back over this range, we'll see what the price action is there, and then potentially, you know, see if there's some type of flag forming that would give us a trade off of that level, with targeting 12,460 or 70, which would be this old zone we had. And if not, then we'll try and find a rejection here to short back down if we fail 12,200 in this zone. So we've got our first zone here, 12,000 or 11,950 and 12,000, and then we have 12,200. That one's kind of a fill number. That's the middle of the range. So I'll delete this here. So you usually don't want to trade the middle of the range, and that's kind of why I mentioned the fact that if we get up to this level, we'll wait to see if we can test a little bit higher, or if we get that rejection, then we may be short. But I don't want to go long into 12,200. So we'll go over these other zones here. The other zones should be decently obvious for you to see here. This failed flag or a descending triangle that broke down is going to cause some major resistance here. Well, it's not going to cause major resistance. Potentially it could be major resistance. And then that would be let's pick the low here. That would be 12,445 level, which is this gray zone here. which would line up right around here. So it would be smart to really only trade at this bottom zone here if you're wanting to trade long, or if you're wanting to trade short, it would be smart to wait for this zone up top here. And then if you're wanting to go long around this 12,400 level, in my opinion, I would say wait for 12,800 or 13,000. The reason being is because if we continue a downtrend, the rejection there won't be nice. Just like we saw here, everyone was hyped on the bull flag, and then obviously it broke down because it was a clear descending triangle. If you look at like ES, which is SPY, I mean that's clear as day, right? Descending triangle broke down, bear flagged, and then dumped back to make a new low. Everyone was thinking flag because we held up, but in reality the structure said downtrend with a lower low here, and then we pushed to try and make a high, but we never made one compared to here, so it was a clear downtrend. So 11,689 zone, and then we got that 12,200 zone, and then 12,445. After that, I would look either for a rejection here to play down. If a rejection actually comes, I'd look to short, from this 12,445 level back down towards 12,000. Because if we do get a rejection, I'd imagine it's going to pull back past 12,200. So, your risk to reward is going to get a little choppy in the middle of the range, which is another reason why I'll pull these zones away and then highlight the two main areas that I'll probably only trade at. So the main areas I'm going to trade at would be around here or around here. And the reason being is because you can see how much noise there is, right? This is all noise in this area over here. I'll highlight it. This would be all noise. Don't care to trade any of that. This would be a lot of noise here. Don't care to trade any of that. Maybe some type of break if consolidation comes. But that was in an old range that was posted here. So that would have been the bottom of the range. Now, this is a new bottom of the range. And this is a new top of the range. So it's widened a bit, which means they're trying to trap traders in between here, giving it a wider and wider range. Volatility can ensue. And if the downtrend wants to continue, it can reject that 12,000. It can reject at 12,200. It can reject at 12,400. Or if they want to bring it back up to test highs, it could just rip with no reason. So you guys have to be really careful trading in the middle because it will make absolutely no sense. Just like we had here. This makes absolutely no sense, right? Maybe now that we're looking back at it, we're like, oh, it flagged and broke up to make a new high. But in reality, we broke down, made a new low, lower high, lower high, lower high, and then break up to the upside. Why? Because we were at the bottom of the range, and then as soon as we got into the middle, price action just gets a little wonky, and they want to bring us to whatever price they want to short at or go long at. So that's a reason to avoid all of this noise, especially when it has a decent gap. Let's see if I can see anything else on different time frames that I care about. Yeah, so not too much here. Maybe trade. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we do make a new high over 13,000, I'd focus on 13,400 and 600. I'm not saying we get there, but those old levels we've mentioned weeks ago that we'd watch to see if a trade could pan out from there. And then now, since we already looked at NQ, I know it was a little bit of a rough overview because I'm going decently quick, but it'll be a lot easier to see the range and everything on SPY. So we've got ES here, clearly the bottom of the range at 3,856. So I'll definitely be watching this for some key guidance here. So I'm watching this zone here, potential rejection, because now we dropped below the range and we're coming to retest it. A little bit different than NQ. NQ is back in the range. So this one should give us, a decent idea of what the market's going to do. If this rejects, I would look to see, Nasdaq may reject at 12,000 if they both get up there. So if we reject 3,856, I'll definitely be looking into a short to try and touch the lows again. The reason I say to try and touch lows is because we could easily double bottom here. I mean, look at that buying volume for today. So it's decently simple to see why. And then once again, if we do clear 3,856, then I may potentially look for a long, trying to target, 3,970 or 4,000. Yeah, I'd say 4,070 just to be safe based on this zone from the descending triangle. So those are the main areas. So this main area down here is what I look to short if we reject, or go long if we close over, with a stop being that level in that zone. And then same thing on the kind of on the top. I would look to short or long near this 4,070 level. The reason being is because it's obvious resistance from our old top of the range and our pattern we had. So resistance there, 4070. But if we break above it and then try and make a high compared to the pattern that was there, then yeah, I'll potentially look for a long to move back towards 4,300. But if not, you know, I'll be a little bit patient because the market likes to trap people with these wide ranges. You think it's a good setup and it's in the middle of the range, and then all of a sudden that bear flag pushes to the upside just because they want the price to be at 4,300. So you got to be cautious with that. Even with us being in a downtrend, we can see that we rebounded hard today after a massive sell-off. So there's no saying what the market's going to do, especially in this tight range, or not tight range, sorry, this range that's been widening. Makes it a little tricky. So I know it was a little bit all over the place, but I hope you guys kind of got a decent idea of the structure and the price levels that I'm looking to trade off of, and why I'm especially looking to trade these zones down here, and then same thing, Nasdaq, those zones over here. So, alright, I hope you guys have a good one.